Hi, I am Melissa Banco, and welcome to the Banco Buzz, a commercial interior design podcast. As a professional leader in our design industry, we found that there were a lot of questions that were coming to me and to us about business and growth and mentorship and really the people behind the design. So we created the Banco Buzz. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for joining us on the Banco Buzz. Welcome back to the Banco Buzz. This is a very special episode that we have today. We have two of our very own from the Banco Design portfolio here today. And what's cool about this mashup is we have two designers, Baleigh and Jessica. One a little bit more seasoned of a designer, has been practicing for a minute, and a junior designer. So we have this really great comparison of just what the industry looks like and these career paths as we navigate through our interior design careers. And honestly, I'm really excited to just bust some myths about what it is we really do all day in the commercial interior design world. So Baleigh, tell our listeners, how long have you been at Banco and where did you graduate from?
I've been with Banco for about 2.5 years now. I started here as a wee little intern while going to school at Savannah College of Art and Design in Atlanta.
And you went from intern to junior designer, and we loved you so much, we made you stay. And we're glad that you did. All right, Jessica, how long have you been at Banco? Because you're one of the OGs.
I've been at Banco 7 years, practicing for 14, so half my career.
Yeah. And Banco has been in existence for 10, so you've been with us much of this crazy ride.
Back when we were in a little office with 5 people.
Yes. And every company has their crazy stories about, growth and what that looked like. So yes, you have been with us through many seasons of Banco and office locations, team members, project types. We've grown a lot together. So we're going to talk through all of the things that really affect our day-to-day and talk about what we do all day. And what is cool about having you both on is, would you agree with me, Jess, that this many years into your career, you've got some insight, you've learned some things, you've lived some things, and we're really big on collaboration here and sharing what those lessons are to some of our younger team members. And Bay, would you say that it's great to have team members that you can lean into from a mentorship standpoint?
Definitely.
And all that. So, all right, let's dive into what is it that we do all day, because I think there might be some misconceptions about what commercial interior designers do all day. It's, that whole joke about what our friends and family think we do versus what we really do. So maybe let's just dive in. What do your days consist of? Because there's never a day that is the same here at Banco
I was
Design.
about to say that. It's never the same. Depends what phase you're in for each project, how many projects you have in what phase. It's kind of like herding cats, we always joke. And it depends on your role here. So since I'm a lead interior designer, I'm more in that management role. Write a lot of emails, delegate a lot, or at least try to.
Yes.
And
manage
depending
all the client
on what we're doing, presentations, talking with clients, GCs, picking furniture, and then also doing construction documents. We draw a lot here, so
yes. You cannot relay the creative things if you do not have the deliverables to match up with that, right? What's one thing you do consistently as a lead interior designer that maybe you didn't think your career would consist of?
Oh, that's a tough one. I think for me, it was the client interaction. I always shied away from that. And now I actually really enjoy those relationships I've built over the years and making our clients happy.
Yes, because when you first joined us, I think maybe some of that narrative was, don't ever put me in front of clients.
Yes,
I hate
exactly
presenting. And I was like, really? But you're so good at it. You're so smart. And you have such great spark. And you're like, I'm not good at it. I don't want to do it. And sometimes
Public speaking is hard.
But look at you here today. So it's really cool that we have those, preconceived notions of what we're going to be good at and what we're not. And to be able to trial that through our career. And now you're doing that, all the time and thriving at it.
And what's been exciting is teaching the younger group coming in and maybe passing on some wisdom I didn't have to begin with, so they don't have to go through those hurdles.
Yeah, it's real. I mean, I really appreciated it as a younger individual coming in. I was kind of terrified. I mean, I went to a school where we were super competitive, and we're all kind of the same at the same walks of life. I mean, you're sitting in a room with everybody's the same age you are, and everyone's doing the same thing you're doing. So coming into a place where it's so fresh, where there's so many different seasons of life in one building, and being able to learn so much from every seat around you is really inspiring.
Hi, I'm Melissa Banco, founder and visionary here at Banco Design. Welcome to season 2 of the Banco Buzz, where we are focusing on all of the seasons that each of us go through in our career paths. We're talking to lots of partners and consultants and advocates for our industry. Tune in and follow us along this entire season. And also, you can find us on anywhere that you listen to your podcasts. It's collaborative here. We try to make it that way because, you know, we're multiplying each other and you're grabbing talents from others that maybe you don't have as an individual. So that's the benefit of working on a team, is that you can do that. What's one thing that you do now after graduating in your day-to-day that was a surprise, that you thought, like, I just didn't think that my day-to-day would include that? What was it, or the biggest surprise about leaving school, starting your career, and joining a firm? What's one of those aha moments?
I think the biggest thing is just school feels very singular. It feels kind of lonely at times where you're doing everything on your own and you don't have a team to do it with. So the biggest thing and the biggest adjustment that I had to get to is becoming extremely collaborative. And I know that we can be a little different with the way that we do things, but learning that you're never truly alone in something is the best thing that I've learned here. And I think that it's so much more complex than anyone could ever think of. Even I learn that every day, even still practicing now.
So do you feel school teaches you these sort of tangible skills, right?
Yeah.
They teach you how to draw. They teach you what the terminology is on some level. But do you feel like it was a shock to the system getting out of school and starting in the real world? Or do you feel like you were really well prepared coming out of school?
I think some days that answer may be different than others. Some days I feel like, oh, I know how to do this. And then some days you don't know how to do it. But that's the fun about being in the real world and it being real. School gives you a plaster of tools. You just have to kind of learn how to use them once you're in the real world every day. So I think depends on what day you ask me of how I'm going to answer that question.
All right, Jess. What is the biggest lesson learned? Something that you would hand down to somebody maybe just starting their career? An aha moment through these years that you've practiced?
I think the biggest thing is work-life balance, and coming here was a big part of that. But being able to have that boundary at work and not work till midnight like I did in my younger years, because that'll burn you out. Being able to get in, work efficiently, and get everything done and still get to go home and enjoy your life has been the biggest change in my career.
Can you turn it off? Do you feel like you can turn it off?
I can turn it off. I do not have the CAD dreams that people talk about.
It's like as a waiter or waitress where you're in the weeds.
I
We
still
have
have those. Thankfully, do not have those
nightmares.
dreams, but I used to. But it's kind of a self-taught thing. When I walk out the door, my head clears. I have a reset, going to work out or going to go climb, and it changes my whole brain. It's nice.
We're not just our work selves.
We aren't.
But there are some firms that you can easily lose yourself in that. And that's not a knock. Everybody's model is different, and how they staff and how they, build teams and all that. But I think that was one of my biggest things coming out of school. And I won't say how many years ago that was just that you didn't have control. Even in school, you could, have a project, and then I worked part-time in school. So you could sort of manage where your time was spent, where you needed to spend time. And it was really paralyzing to not have control over that time and deadlines and what time needed to be put in. So we talk a lot about that here and what deadlines look like. Does that mean that we don't sometimes work overtime? I mean, sometimes we
work
have
as a team here.
Yeah.
That was the biggest change too, is there's a group of people that will step in and help. And we plan enough in advance that doesn't happen that often where we need that. But we know it's there, which
Yeah.
has been really nice.
It's not all the time. Sometimes it has to happen because we're creatives, and sometimes you can't fit the great ideas.
And
in a
sometimes
box.
half the things change. And we weren't anticipating
Sometimes
that.
it's not us. What has been the most rewarding thing in your career to date? So practiced over a decade, well over, and newer to the industry. To each of you, what has been the coolest thing? It could be a project, it could be an aha moment, it could be somebody you got to work with, it could be a client, it could be an event. Like, what's been the most pivotal part or the coolest part of your career today?
So what I live for is seeing my project that I worked on from start to finish at an award show. Seeing your pictures up there is just, that's what I live for. And then even winning an award, that's even better. But just seeing your work up there with your whole industry present feels
And
really
your brand
good.
up there too. And sometimes, I don't know, am I being a little cheesy where it's like, we can't win all the awards. We'd love to.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's just having it up there and the recognition of being in a certain, space with all of your other colleagues. And it's just like, we did that. Like, it's done. It's, so.
And you work really hard for these projects.
Yeah.
So it just feels great at the end
Yeah.
to be acknowledged.
Yeah.
I'm still so early on in my career, and I feel like I have so many experiences to go through. I mean, it's so early, and I think I talk a lot about the moment that I felt like everything shifted, of where I was here for a good while before I graduated, and it felt, I mean, of course, I always felt like such this huge part of this big team, but the minute that I walked that stage, it's like everything changed. And feeling that shift of someone who worked really hard to, get there was a big thing for me. But also, like, you feel it different. The day that I walked in here after I had my degree was completely different than the day before I did have it. So
Really?
It
felt different.
even though everyone was still the same. Like, I'm coming to the same place.
I'm like,
I'm doing the same thing, kind of. But this time I'm walking in and I've got a pretty piece of paper in my bag. So,
Well, you've got a season coming up in your personal life. I had that same aha, like when you get married, you date
Yeah.
for a long time and it's like, I'm the same person, he's the same person, but now there's the paper. Yeah. You've got that coming up where people ask, does it feel different? It's like, yeah, it kind of does. So that maybe that's like a parallel to, I'm really am the same person at the end of the day, but
life feels really adult right now. It's kind of weird.
Okay, so here at Banco, we work on 3 vertical project types. So we have private club, senior living, and multifamily. What would you say off the cuff is your favorite project type to work on?
Well, I will say multifamily. I've tried all of them, and I do enjoy learning about each new type, but I like multifamily because it moves quickly.
Yeah. And you're good at it.
Thank you.
You have you touched all 3?
I have
As
touched,
a big girl out of school, big girl. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I have touched all 3. Senior living is near and dear to my heart. It's something about it. I have a very service-oriented heart, and I feel like senior living takes the creativity and the service and puts them together into a little baby. That's why it's my favorite. You're serving a community that it's going to be a huge lasting for so many people, not just the people that are living there. That's the biggest thing for me is not only the design aspect, but feeling like I'm serving something bigger.
I agree with you. I agree with you. Okay, so I do have another question for you, Bet. You were an intern with us, and you and I sat down and talked about you joining full time. And one of my biggest concerns was that there wasn't some of that experience under your belt of just being at other firms and just experience outside of that. What was the deciding factor of? And you said some things to me that were heartwarming. But what was the decision? What was behind the decision to join Banco and maybe not at this point in your career saying, I'd like to try some other things? Like, talk to us about what was on your heart in joining the team full time.
I think I could talk about that for hours. Nothing ever happens in my life by chance. I am a woman driven with a God-driven heart, and I pray hard, and I think hard, and I feel hard, and it's something about feeling peace in the season that you're in. I've never walked in these doors and not felt peace, and I've felt that at a lot of different places, maybe not in design, but just in jobs in general. So I think when you feel that, you don't need to run from it, you have to stay in it. So no, I may not have gotten experience in other places, but I don't really have that feeling in my heart that I need to. because I'm still feeling extremely peaceful where I'm at now.
Wow. I love that too.
Okay, so Jess, you you have had experience at other firms, and you had a really lovely background when you joined Banco. What keeps Banco special? What keeps you waking up and coming into work every day? Because you're one who every day gives us 100%, which is why we love you and our clients love you, and it's reflected in your work. So what's that driving factor to?
I love our team. I love the people that work here. I mean, that's who you're spending the majority of your time with. Yeah. You want to work at a place that you feel good and feel comfortable and feel appreciated.
Yeah.
It's people that makes the difference.
It really does, because the projects sometimes
they're challenging.
Can be a challenge, yes.
Yeah.
But when you have good people around you, it just makes it so much better.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So to sort of drip over to that conversation. So is your job like so easy? Are you just
So easy.
Are we just rolling around in paint chips and pillow fabrics and
So many pillows?
What do we do that is different in the commercial space? Because that is special to just interior design as a whole, right? You've got residential is different from commercial. The verticals are all different. So what would we like to educate listeners on? Maybe it is somebody who's newer to the industry, maybe considering the industry. I get a lot of inquiries from even high school students. What do y'all do all day? And is it this or is it that? We are working up against, media that really glorifies and our industry, and maybe showing unrealistic timelines or budgets or what the process really is. So as a commercial interior designer, your day-to-day are these projects, but let's break down what that includes. So I have described it as that sheetrock in, your gyp in. Your commercial interior designer is managing all those things.
Everything inside the building. Yes.
All of it. So it is interior millwork, and it is all of your finishes, and it is your lighting and your lighting levels, and it is your furniture, and it is, we are space makers. Is it overwhelming sometimes?
Maybe sometimes, but I think we have such a good process in place that we know all the steps to anticipate, and we know our consultants and what their jobs are, and working with them, how to make that happen. We work very closely with the architects on our projects, and I think they really respect what we do, and that helps a lot. We understand structural walls, how those can't move, but when we want to create a space from what was originally planned, they generally respect that and understand the process. I had a person very early on that I worked with that had many years on me, but as an intern, he told me about 5% of what we do is truly that design love. The other 95%
the pretties, what I think maybe the majority of people think we do.
Executing that. Yeah. And you have to really, really have a passion for what we do to do that 95%, because it's months and months and months of executing that original design and seeing it through, and having to go through the construction process. We have a lot of VE, value engineering things that happen, and you try to keep that original design intent, but we have a whole team that we have to work with and juggle that final cost of what our client has to spend, and we want to make it look as good as we can. And then the pretties at the end is really that furniture. And I think a lot of people think that's kind of all that we do. Yeah. But we start from that schematic design and we see it through.
You got to get the building coordinated and all those things built. And that's a great point to sort of the life cycle of these projects. They're long, they're years sometimes. And I think that was probably one of the things that I didn't anticipate is all of the coordination. So we are just one piece of this puzzle of consultants, and we're the last girl in the building. So sometimes those things, to really push the team to communicate, it falls on us.
It does.
because things have trickled down or whatever. So having that coordination and that communication with all the other consultants on the team, because they're bringing a skill set that we don't have, we all have to work in tandem. I think I was surprised on how much time that took. So that's a myth that surely can be busted, is we are not just your furniture girls. We are designing and coordinating all of those things beforehand before you can ever think about putting a chair in the building. And again, it's a labor of love, because it's sometimes years, because a new build takes that long, right? Yeah. Renovations, some of them take that long too. So it's pouring a lot of managerial time and energy and advocacy for
we
the
are
design.
a client's advocate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was something that really was instilled in me here. That really we are a client's advocate. Yes. This is the design that they love,
yes,
and they want to see in the end.
Yes, and we want to stand up for that and make sure that that's really what they're getting at the end of the day, what we showed them in renderings and in DD and CDs and all that. So Baleigh, have you had much experience with that coordination piece to date, and what has been your experience with that, in being mentored by more lead designers and seeing, is that different from how you thought it would be when you got out of school? Did you think that it would be more time in true design than to some of these other project management things that we manage, or were you prepared for that?
I think to an extent I was prepared for that. Honestly, where I went to school, we were super extensive, and I feel like there's things there that I learned that I don't even use here. And not, as a bad thing, but things that I thought that I may have to do on a day-to-day basis, like, knowing where plumbing should go and, X, Y, those kinds of things. Fully drawing walls by myself at 2 a.m. I thought that I was going to have to do that. And so having a team member with an architect it's a really big privilege. I think it's not as much as I didn't think I was going to do it. I didn't think that it was going to happen so fast. But that's a good thing. I really enjoy getting my feet in the water as quick as possible. But I remember the first day I was asked to respond to a client email, and I was like, wait, me? I'm just a little girl.
You got this. You got this,
but
girl.
I don't even know what to say. Do I respond with best or thank you at the end? I don't know.
So we are a turnkey portfolio. So we have our purchasing agency in-house to help us with all the procurement things. Is that a benefit to being able to complete your design? And do you appreciate and love that we have that consultant in-house? How do you think it would be? How different would your day-to-day be if we didn't have that help from our procurement agency?
It makes the biggest difference, because the last places I worked did not purchase. And so we would get to site and see all these things there that we didn't specify or know that had changed out, where we're very involved in that process. We pick the reselections. And that means when our clients ask us about a piece, we know that it changed and why it changed. And it just gives us the power back to be able to respond.
Finish strong, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, to be able to have that true clarity and not have that be something that we have to send a ton of emails about. Yeah. We don't need any more emails. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Bae, what do you think about that with the furniture bit? Do you feel like that's a great way to streamline and allow you as a young designer to really focus on growing yourself as a designer and not having to manage the procurement part?
I think, I know people, I know friends at other firms that they do manage those kinds of things, and I know that it can be an issue for other people, but I also think that it's extremely rewarding for someone in my place, that getting to know so much about procurement at such a young age of my career and seeing it right behind me at a desk right behind me is very rewarding. And knowing that part, maybe not as back and front as the people in that desk do, but I hear the calls, I see the emails, and it's really rewarding and super driven to know the behind the scenes of things and knowing how that comes together.
I do think that's cool, the organicness. We all work in the same studio, so to just hear those things and see those things and be in the same space, you don't realize how much you're learning just by adjacency.
Yeah.
Not necessarily like, let me ask you a question. It's just like, oh, I heard them on the call, or yay, they got a hold of that vendor. So it's great. Okay, so sort of in closing, Jessica, if you were to be sitting next to baby Jessica,
oh gosh,
or what would be the biggest nugget of advice that you could give Baleigh, and maybe you already have because this is a great little
to.
mentorship mentee already organically in our studio. You know, you reflect back on practicing as long as you have. What's some advice that you would give to a younger designer and younger designers that are listening who, and I've told you this before, you have lots of fans who are like, I want to be Jess one day. What's a great, nugget of advice that you would give a younger designer, maybe fresh out of school, that would help them be set up for success? So
I
that
think
when they
have
are
said
you.
this before, but we all mess up in some way, and it's okay. We are human. That's why we have people with more experience and a whole team behind us to help. We can only do so much, and mistakes are inevitable. That was something starting out. I was so scared of messing up. It's like, it happens. Yeah. It's okay.
I was called an idiot many a times. I learned from being an idiot, but it's nice when you have, I think, the support of it's okay that I've made a mistake, or I've had, team members come to us and say, oh my God, I have to tell you something. Like, just out with it. Like, everything is solvable. Like, don't do it again. Once, it's okay. But, so is that
was a big
making
one.
mistakes is okay?
Making mistakes is okay. And just being more open to trying new things. I was a very timid junior, and I think more good stuff comes at you when you're open to it.
Try the different project type.
Yep, try it out.
Then you don't like it, or try the hanging, with a
We're
new
always
team
learning.
Learning under
It
somebody.
never stops. And so if you're open to it, it'll just help you. Yeah, we learn from everything, our mistakes.
Even after we practice a long time.
And from the people around us. We all have different, backgrounds and different experience, and it can only help really in the end.
It's great advice. Okay, Baleigh, what is something you would like to extrapolate from maybe somebody who's been practicing longer? Like, what is something you want to know, an insight that you would like from someone who's practiced?
I think I've been a go-getter my whole entire life, and something that I like is a shower thought that I have very often is like, when do
now you're all having them.
right? When do you know you're ready to like take the next step and you leap into like a different position, or when do you know that like where you're sitting is like you have been there long enough? And
That's a great question.
because this industry is very fast and things move so quickly, and you get so much more on your plate very quickly, which is what I enjoy about this industry is it's not slow. And I feel like I will always wonder of like, it goes by so quick. I mean, even this past 2.5 years has gone by so quick. So when I'm sitting in that seat, like, how do you know you're ready to kind of go further and get bigger in your career?
How do you answer that?
Well, it's people around me that told me I was ready and said, you can do it. It's okay. You can do it. But we're very different personalities. I wanted to stay in the shadows in a sense and not be put out of my comfort zone. But really, that's where I grew because I had these great people around me that were like, you can do it. It's okay. We believe in you. And maybe just being told that is what's needed.
Yeah. I think the communication of just saying, I think I'm ready. It's okay to be vulnerable and say, I think I am ready. Am I ready? And then your team can, maybe help you evaluate if you are and help you build a plan. I had somebody during a mentor of mine actually, and it was, you are not responsible as a leader to build a plan for others. Others do need to build their own plan and where they'd like to be and have goals. Leaders and mentors can't set those goals for you, but we are there to help navigate how to get you there. Yeah. So I think it's just keeping that communication open. Like, I'm getting that tug. I feel like I'm ready. Like, can I take on more? Could I maybe lead this project, this by myself? And so I think it's just that team effort to help boost you up because, better together and those many hands make light work. So we're here to help everybody grow because when you grow, she grows. When she grows, I grow. So it's kind of cool the way that works on a team. Okay. Quick question. Where do we draw inspiration from? So you're just like maybe in like a little design rut and you're like, I don't know. I'm just not feeling inspired. Where do you go to just keep that creative juice flowing? What are some things you pull inspiration from?
I've always looked to traveling.
Yeah.
So when I'm on trips abroad or here, my eyes always open to new things.
Yeah.
What are we seeing out there? I'm always taking pictures
Yeah.
of cool details.
It's like designers in the wild. We're like taking pictures of tile
We're
and our
touching
feet
turning over
walls.
chairs. Where's that from? You
Yeah.
know, like is that in design shows. I've always enjoyed going to those big events and seeing what's the latest and greatest and talking to our reps and asking them, what are you seeing as the latest trends?
That's a great piece of
and looking to
advice.
fashion, because that's always the forefront of everything.
Yeah.
With trends.
We there's a parallel with lots of creative fields, and that's kind of popped up quite a bit the last couple of years. Just fashion and travel and all these things. Like there's design, in all of it. So, what about you, Bae?
Travel is a big one. You get to see and touch and feel things around you, and things. I mean, we see the same thing pretty much every single day. And getting out and seeing other things and seeing how things are applied is a huge inspiration. But I'm also very social, and I feel like sitting down and talking to people, even as people that I don't see on a daily basis, like vendors or other designers that do things differently. It's, seeing and talking to others and seeing how things are changing around me is a huge inspiration of growth and change. And I think the travel and communication are the two biggest things that I may pull it from.
So does a great commercial interior designer, is it just somebody who's good with color? I take that as
No,
the
we
answer.
do all the things. I think it's being good at all parts of a project and
being classically trained. We have, some younger designers who have said, do I really need a degree? You do. You need the tools. Get the foundational tools. Join a great team who can, really help navigate and coach you through the real world stuff. But, this podcast was built to drive awareness and advocacy for our industry. Commercial interior design is it's its own thing, and there's so much layer in it, and we're just here to peel it back. And I appreciate you ladies being on today and helping give a little window into what we do all day. And you both are just a huge blessing to me and a huge joy to this entire portfolio. So thanks for coming and hanging out today.
Thank you.
Even though you identify as introverts, you killed it today. I'm so proud of y'all. So thanks for coming and hanging out today here on the Banco Buzz.